Alrighty, so another intense day of group stage action is in the books. We have one more day of group stage action tomorrow, and you know the old saying that sometime in soccer or football, the game could be a game of inches, and there's definitely some fine margin that can be happening in some of these games. Well, that literally was the meaning in some of these games that we saw, because literally the difference between a team moving on into the next round and a team packing their bags going home was literally decided by a couple of inches in some of these games that we watched. But that being said, let us actually get into the first game, which is Canada versus Morocco. And I gotta say, you know, for the Canadians, you know, I mentioned this in my video earlier. This is definitely going to be a very disappointing tournament for them. I mean, I know coming into this World Cup, there was not a lot of expectation that they were facing, and that in some way you could say that they're just happy that they're in this World Cup. But the fact that, you know, with a lot of hype and a lot of optimism that they can actually do something, including getting out of the group, well, not only the fact that they did not do that, but they actually finished with 0 point, and turns out to be one of the worst team in this tournament. And it kind of sums up in the 4th minute when Morocco actually took the opening lead, as Hakim Ziyech would score to give Morocco a 1-0 lead. And yeah, this was a huge mistake from Victoria and Bojan. First, Victoria plays a poor back pass to Bojan, and then Bojan came off his line, took a terrible first touch there. It ran right into Ziyech, who said, "Thank you very much, I'm just going to chip it over your head." And just like that, Morocco has a 1-0 lead. Now, in the 10th minute, Bolter would then puts it high from close range. It was all Morocco early in this one. I mean, Morocco is just basically showing that you know, that game against Belgium, it was not a fluke. Like, they are legitimately been a dangerous team in this World Cup, and they were looking to try to get that second goal. And I also wrote, this is exactly not what the Canadians want, as they were hoping to kind of just have some pride out of this game. I mean, I know they were already eliminated, but they definitely didn't want to just get embarrassed on their way out of the World Cup. Buchanan then puts it wide as he was trying to stab one in before on the other end Ziyech tried for his second goal, but he skies it over the bar. Before in the 23rd minute, Morocco takes a 2-0 lead. It's out, and as re-scoring from Hakimi to give Morocco a 2-0 lead. And I gotta say, you know, that was definitely a lightning counterattack from Morocco, but also a combination of the fact that Bojan, again, he should have done better in this one, in my opinion, because the way that En-Nesyri hits this one toward the near post, like, you know, you've been taught as a goalkeeper that you can't just always get beat by your near post that easily. And in that case, you know, for Bojan, I feel like he just got beat in that near post way too easily there. But that being said, Morocco does take the 2-0 lead, and the Canadians, they have no answer every time when Morocco go quickly on the attack. Like, every time when Morocco just go direct or play the ball over the top, they had no answer for that. Though, that being said, they did get a goal back in the 41st minute, though it wasn't actually one of their players that scored the goal. It was actually an own goal that was scored by Agert from Morocco. That's the first own goal of this tournament, and a kind of an unfortunate one too, because Agert kind of deflect this one right back to his goalkeeper, and the goalkeeper who just could not quite palms it away, and it goes into the back net. So yeah, there's some life for Canada in this one, as it's now back to a 1-goal deficit. But that 1-goal deficit quickly went back to 2, as En-Nesyri would score in the 3rd minute of stoppage time. The problem is, they go to VAR to see whether or not if there was an offside potentially on Agüero when he basically screened the goalkeeper there as the shot was coming in, and there was. I mean, you can clearly see when En-Nesyri shoot this one, Agüero was in the offside position, and you know, you don't have to touch the ball. As if you're in an offside position and the ball's coming toward you and you screen the goalkeeper, yeah, you're gonna get called offside every single time. So rightfully so, that goal was disallowed and remains 2-1, as that was the scoreline heading into the second half. Now in the second half, Ziyech would hit one right to Bojan. I felt Canada had lots of possession. I felt maybe that's due to the fact that Morocco, knowing the fact that they have this 2-1 lead, they're just gonna pack it in and hope to try to defend, because they know that if they can win this game, then they're pretty much sealed their place in the next round of the knockout stage. Davies did try to steer one in, but he missed that one wide. Before in the 70th minute, oh, this came came close for Canada to get the equalizer as Achipa Hutchinson not only struck the post this one, it was one of those one where it struck the post and it kind of bounced backwards, and that on first look it looked like that one actually crossed the line, but then they did check it out, and that, you know, one the thing about this World Cup is that they do have goal line technology. I mean, that's been a thing since the last World Cup too, and when you look on the replay, it was pretty clear that ball did not cross over the line, and this will actually be the last time we'll be talking about how the ball didn't cross over the line in this video, because there's some infamous thing that happened in this one that we'll definitely talk about in just a bit. But in this one, yeah, half of the ball did cross the line there, but again, you need to have full part of the ball to cross the line. Johnson did, of course, got the rebound there on the follow-up, but he hits it on the top of the post. And Morocco, they were playing with fire a little bit. Like, they were on the ropes. I get that they were trying to pack in, but you know this Canadian team has the quality to try to get themselves the equalizer. Though that being said, Canada really never generate any opportunity, and as we head to stoppage time, you can see the Moroccan bench, they were ready to celebrate, not just because of the fact that they're almost over the line and get the win, but knowing the other result, as I'll talk about in just a bit, ended in a scoreless draw. That means that they, of course, would not only move on to the next round, but finish at the top of the group. And that's exactly what happened in this one, as with this win that Morocco has. They finished top of the group and becoming only the second African team to top the group after Senegal did it. Or actually, not Senegal. Oh, God, I forgot who topped. I think it was it Kenya, the one that topped the group back in 98? There was one African team that did it back in the 98 World Cup in France, but Morocco basically become the second team to do so. Shots in this one, 6 shots committed, 5 that Canada has. No shots on goal for the 2 that Morocco has. 2 shots off target for the 4 that Canada has. 2 shots that was blocked for the 1 that Canada has. And possession-wise, 59% possession compared to 41% possession that the Canadians has in this game. And again, you know, I know that there was not a lot of expectation coming out of this tournament, and I think getting to the World Cup has got to be considered a success for Canada, but you gotta say that maybe some Canadians will be a little bit frustrated and will be a little bit disappointed the fact that not only they did not move on into the next round, but it turns out to finish the tournament as one of the worst team, and that they finished with no points and have like a goal differential of -6. But on the other hand, for Morocco, you know, I think now they're starting to become the new dark horse of the World Cup, because the way that they play in this group stage, it's been incredible, and it's definitely a team that, you know, I talk about Senegal as that team coming out of Africa that could be a dangerous team coming out of that region, but don't forget about Morocco. I mean, this team can definitely do something when the knockout stage has happened, and I'm interested to see how far they can go through, because they've been playing very well so far in the group stage. Though that being said, moving on, in terms of the next match, we got Croatia versus Belgium, and I don't know how this game ended scoreless. And I'm pretty sure Belgium and Romelu Lukaku is probably the thinking about that for the rest of the week, because this was one of those games where I think if you want to talk about the most entertaining 0-0 draws so far in this tournament, and we have a lot of them, this one is easily one of them, because there was chances for both of these teams to score goals in this one, and yet it's just one of those games where nobody was clinical in front of goal, and therefore it ended in a scoreless draw. And not to mention, both goalkeepers were very good in this one too. Though early on, we actually almost had our first goal of the game just 20 seconds into this one. Actually, not even 20 seconds. I think it was like maybe 10 seconds into this game, as Perisic almost scored what looked like could be the fastest goal in World Cup history, but he missed that one high there. Like, you know, it's almost a goal when the graphics wasn't even put on FS1 when that chance was happening. But Croatia, no doubt, was on the front foot in this one, and Belgium, they looked like they were all over the place at the back. Like, they did not start well once again in this one. Livakovic then denied Mertens in the front post, and then this is where we get to a controversial moment where there was no penalty given to Croatia, as VAR deemed that there was an offside call before the penalty was called. Now, what was very controversial about this moment is that when you look on the replay, and especially look at the VAR technology to decide offside, looks like that Croatia player is dead even on the last Belgium defender. And when I look at that image, I mean, I just don't know how you can say that that is offside. And this again just goes back to what I said earlier in today's video. Things I've learned about this World Cup. I hate how VAR is used in this World Cup, and especially with the new technology that they introduced, that they were supposed to help deviate these offside call, but it just feels like in this tournament they just makes it even more controversial because again I don't know how that is an offside. I thought that should have been a penalty for Croatia, and that clearly should have been onside, but nevertheless no penalty was given. And what's even more frustrating if you are a Croatian fan is that Modric was ready to take this penalty. Like, he was lining up. They were lining up to ready to take the penalty, and I was expecting that, well, it seems like they're not going to overturn this call. And then all of a sudden they decide to go to VAR, and even then, again, when you look at the image of that offside, it definitely did not look like they got that one right, and that absolutely should have been a penalty for Croatia. Though that being said, in the 33rd minute, and also in the grand scheme of things, fortunate for Croatia, it didn't really come back to bite them. But in the 33rd minute, Levića would hits it high from close range before Junovic would miss it set wide from close, and we head to halftime scoreless between both of these teams. And as we head into the second half, buckle up, boys and girls, because this is where both of these teams decided that they were desperate to try to get the opening goal. Like, in the first half, it was kind of a little bit cagey, but in the second half, all bets were off. Like, this is when both teams really started to attack, and it all started with Lukaku hits one right to Livakovic in the 48th minute as Belgium pressed early for the opening goal. Courtois would then deny Kovacic from close range before Sosa would puts it over the bar from 20 yards out. They mentioned Belgium have scored 51 out of the last 53 match, but keep in mind, one of those 53 matches that they failed to score was the last game against Morocco. De Bruyne then fires it high off of his back foot before on the other end, Courtois would deny Brozovic and then deny Modric just a couple of seconds later. And again, both of these teams, they were gunning for it. Like, they were going for to try to get the early goal. The shots were 10-8 in favor of Croatia. Like, the shots were piling up with both of these teams coming oh so close of getting the opening goal. But in the 60th minute, Livakovic would deny Carrasco, but Belgium actually got a second crack of it. And this is where Lukaku basically decided that he was going to be snake bitten in this game, because he had an empty net to shoot in the back post, but instead he struck the post there. And then he had another opportunity just 2 minutes later. He had a free header from 10 yards out there. And as a striker in the quality that Romelu Lukaku has had, you would expect he puts that one away 9 out of 10 times. But this is just one of those times where he doesn't put away. In fact, he basically hits this one high. Almost, I feel like he kind of tried to do it too casually there, and it goes high over the bar. And I am in a row. Belgium and Lukaku is just snake bit right now, because when you cannot put away that opportunity, you know that it is not your night. Though on the other end, Modric would head one right to Courtois before in the 84th minute, De Bruyne would hit one into the side netting, and you can see there was desperation that was shown on this Belgium side. Like, they knew that they had to win in this one. They have had so many opportunity in this one to do so. They had another chance in the 87th minute as Lukaku actually had it tapped in the front post, but somehow missed wide. And then to add the more of misery to Lukaku, he would miss one in the back post that was wide open. All he had to do was maybe just kind of head that one away, but I don't know why he decided to kind of chest it down. Like, there was really no need for him to try to chest it down. All you need to do is just kind of maybe head that one in, or take it off the volley and blast it in, because that was right there, like on the doorstep of goal. But somehow he decided to chest that one down, and that just kind of sums up Romelu Lukaku night for Belgium, and just sum up Belgium tournament so far. I mean, so many times they have came close in this one, but they aren't able to put away, and because of that, they're out of the World Cup as it finished in a scoreless draw, with Croatia moving on into the next round. The shots in this one, 11 shots with the 16 that Belgium had, 3 shots on goal with the 4 that Croatia had, 8 shots off target with the 6 that Croatia had, 5 shots that was blocked with the 1 that Croatia has, and possession-wise, 51% possession compared to the 49% possession that Croatia has had. They also showed it the image that Lukaku, knowing that his country was out of the World Cup, he basically showed his frustration by just completely smashing the dugout glass there. And also Roberto Martinez, he immediately resigned after the full-time whistle was blown. So he pretty much did the same thing that Tata Martino did for Mexico, and I don't blame him, and I don't blame Belgium decided to announce that right away, because yeah, this is an utter embarrassment for a team that had World Cup ambition and in some way are kind of in the same situation as LAFC was in MLS, where it's basically World Cup or bust for Belgium in this one. And to not even make it out of the group and to go to the knockout stage, this is just catastrophic failure for this Belgium side. And that, yeah, there's going to be a lot of soul searching that's going to be done to this team, and that you would say that this is pretty much it for this team in terms of the so-called golden generation that this Belgium team has had. But for Croatia, yeah, you know, they came close a couple of times of scoring a goal, but at the same time, they're probably very lucky with the way that especially in the latter part of this game, they probably are going to be giving Lukaku a fruit basket after this one, just for some commiseration, because yeah, if Belgium would have scored in this one, I think Croatia would have been knocked out of the tournament. Yeah, Morocco would have gone through and Belgium would have gone through, but Croatia, by the skin of their teeth, they're moving on into the next round. And that, I think in some way, I'm also kind of glad that they did, because then we don't have that talks about that controversial call that, you know, imagine if Belgium did win this one, then we're going to definitely go back to talk about that controversial call. And that, I think Croatian fans, they have every right to be angry because they feel like they got robbed because of an offside call that probably shouldn't have been offside. Well, actually, it's not probably. It definitely shouldn't have been offside. It should have been a penalty in favor of Croatia. But that being said, moving on in the next match is Costa Rica versus Germany. So coming into this game, Germany know that they had to win in this one, but they also had to win in a big margin. And not only they didn't do the big margin, they actually eventually would get knocked out of the group stage 2 for the second consecutive time. And you know, we'll talk about why exactly in this game between Japan and Spain. But early on, Navas would deny Musiala from close range, and as expected, Germany, they were pressing to try to get the early lead. Navas would deny Gnabry as the flag went up before Müller had a free header from 10 yards out, but somehow missed that one wide. So basically, Müller had a Lukaku moment there. But thankfully for him and for his team, Germany did take the opening or did get the early lead in this one, as Serge Gnabry would score from Ron to give Germany a 1-0 lead. They were looking for the second goal just 1 minute later, but Navas was able to deny Goretzka on a free header. I mean, I gotta feel bad for Keylor Navas, because he was basically a target practice throughout this entire tournament. But there was no doubt that Germany, they smelled blood, and that they were looking to try to get that second against just a completely disorganized Tico's defense. Like Costa Rica, they were all over the place at the back in that. I thought we were going to maybe be in for another 7-0 kind of drumming. But Navas did deny Kimmich, but he did build this one, and he was very fortunate that he was able to recover this one before any German player was able to tap this one in. Gnabry then pulls it just wide from close range, as this looks like the opening match for Germany, where in that opening match against Japan, despite the fact that they created a lot of chances, they were being very wasteful in front of goal. And I just worried the fact that, you know, with them being so wasteful in front of goal, is this like the game against Japan, where Costa Rica eventually will get themselves back into this game and somehow get the equalizer. In fact, they almost did exactly that in the 41st minute, as Neuer had to deny Fuller, as that was not only Costa Rica's first opportunity, but Keisha Fuller, you know, the winning goal scorer for Costa Rica in that win against Japan. He almost did it again. Like, he was in on goal. You would definitely bet that he would score that one, but Neuer with a big save to keep the Germans with a 1-0 lead. But in the second half, this is when the Ticos decided that, yeah, you know, maybe, just maybe we can do the unthinkable, because they were on the front foot early, and little did we know, they started to do the unthinkable. First, it was Tejada scoring in the 58th minute to tie the game up at one apiece, and yeah, this is one that Neuer would want to have back. I mean, Manuel Neuer, he was having a very un-Neuer-like game in this one, because he allowed a juicy rebound right here, which Tejada easily tapped this one in, and just like that, the game was tied up at one apiece, and there was life for Costa Rica, because, you know, all they need is to get a win in this game, and also knowing in the other game where Japan was able to take the lead against Spain, there could be the unthinkable where both Germany and Spain could knock out of the group stage if Costa Rica would have got that second goal. Musiala then struck the post, but he actually gets it back on the rebound, but blast that one high. And I think that moment kind of sums up Germany in this World Cup. Like, they came close so many times, but they just been snake bitten and haven't been finishing their chances like they should have done. I mean, imagine they could have just finished their chances in this World Cup. They absolutely would have made it out of the group if that's the case. Muller then puts it high off of a deflection before Rudiger puts it wide in the back post. But then in the 72nd minute, the unthinkable happened. It's Vargas, the ones that give Costa Rica the 2-1 lead. And another bad moment here for Manuel Neuer. I mean, he came off his lines here. He was trying to maybe palm that one away. And not only the fact that he didn't get that, he basically just kind of caught in no man's land. And there was Vargas, the one that was able to get the last touch of it. I mean, it was a bit of a scramble right there after Neuer wasn't able to get to it. But yeah, just like that, Costa Rica was leading 2-1 in this one. And at that point, it was Costa Rica and Japan that was moving on into the next round. And that I thought we were going to go, if that is going to be the result that's going to happen, we probably have gone peak chaos in the World Cup. And knowing the fact that both of these games were taking place at a 10 p.m. kickoff, I mean, that is just classic World Cup after dark kind of moment where all the sun, it looked like the unthinkable could happen. But before anyone thought that maybe the unthinkable could happen, Germany would tie the game up. It's Kai Havertz scoring from full crew to tie the game up at 2 apiece, and that was an absolute gut punch for the Ticos, because here they are, they were believing that the unthinkable could happen, they would actually make it out of the group, and then literally that feeling lasted less than a minute, with Germany tied the game up at 2 apiece. And they almost took the lead again in the 76th minute if it wasn't for Navas robbing full crew on the doorstep of goal. And I thought that this game kind of really started to become wide open, because you knew that both of these teams needed to score that third goal and needed to win the game. With one team have a chance to move on into the group, and the other team desperately needed to take the lead back to help their goal differential and hope the other result goal in their way. But in the 79th minute, Bennett would blast it high from long range before Musiala would puts it high from close range. I talked about Lukaku being snake bitten in that game against Croatia. Jamal Musiala has to be snake bitten throughout this tournament, because he has had so many chances in this one, but he just cannot buy a goal right in this tournament. But in the 85th minute, a guy that could buy a goal is Kai Havertz. He would score again for the second time from Gnabry to make it 3-2 in favor of Germany. And then 3 minutes later, they would make it 4-2 as Fulkrug would score from Sané to make it 4-2 in favor of Germany. Originally, the goal was disallowed for offside, but upon further review, they overturned that call. And yeah, Germany was able to win 4-2 in this one, as the shots of this one, 32 shots compared to 7 that Costa Rica has. 5 shots on goal compared to 11 that Germany has. 13 shots off target compared to 1 that Costa Rica has. 6 shots that was blocked compared to 1 that Costa Rica has. And possession-wise, 68% possession compared to 32% possession that Costa Rica has in this one. But unfortunately for Germany, it was not enough, because as we'll talk about in the next game between Japan versus Spain, Japan did it again. This was literally almost a carbon copy of the first game that Japan had against Germany, where they were getting dominated in the first half, but they kept in this game and stayed this at 1-0. And little did we know that they found something called momentum that kind of got their way and got themselves the equalizer, and then the rest is history. But Also, we will definitely talk about the second goal, which would turn out to be the winning goal for Japan, of how that would definitely be a discussion that we might even be having after this World Cup is over, and certainly a moment that a lot of German fans will feel like they got robbed in in their chances of moving on to the next round. But early on, Morata would blast it high from long range before on the other end, Ito actually hits the side netting, and that chance was kind of a reminder for that Japan letting Spain know that they ain't just going to back off in this one. Like, they're not just going to sit deep and hope to get a 0-0 draw so that they can move on into the next round. Though Morata did hit one right to Gonda before he would actually get on the score sheet in the 12th minute. This time from Azpilicueta to make it 1-0 in favor of Spain. So two former Chelsea player. Well, actually, one of them is still a Chelsea player, and the other being Morata, a former Chelsea player, connecting thing there. And yeah, just like that, Spain take a 1-0 lead. Surely you think, yeah, this should be a laugher for Spain, right? They should easily win this game and maybe piled on, right? Well, it looked like it was kind of the case because they really took over possession and started to pin Japan deep in. Morata was looking to try to get that second goal for Japan, but he hits one right to Gunda. But as the time goes on, the game remains at 1-0, and you just kind of had a sense with the way that, despite the fact that Spain had all the possession, the longer this stay 1-0, the more you think it will favor Japan, because Japan, at least throughout this tournament, they have been a second half team. They have been a team that can be threatening to strike quickly in the second half, and lo and behold, it happened again. Because in the second half, with the score 1-0 heading into halftime for Spain, the lead quickly evaporated with Doan scoring from Ito to tie the game up at 1 apiece. And then 3 minutes later, Tanaka would score from Mitoma to give Japan a 2-1 lead. But this is where the controversy began. Because when you look on the replay, and again, you know, for this one, it's very tough to call. And I would say that this is very 50-50 whether if that ball actually did went out of the line, because on one angle, it looked like you can clearly see the ball went out of the line. But then on the other angle, you kind of feel like that ball actually just stayed in play, and that I think at the end, you know, if I was going to give my opinion into this, I think they got the right call. And I know for any Germans that's watching this, they might be angry that I said that, but I feel like the reason why they got that call right is that there was just not enough definitive evidence, and that I know this year or this tournament there's been so many controversies surrounding VAR, but I think this was just down right to a conclusion where it was just not clear and obvious, and it wasn't decisive. I mean, again, I know one angle it shows that, but if another angle shows that it wasn't out, you can't just simply just say, well, you know what, that angle said it's clear, but that angle is not, so we'll just say that it's out, or the other way around. So I think in the end, maybe the reason why this call was overturned was because there was not enough definitive evidence in terms of showing that it was out or not. So yeah, that gives Japan a 2-1 lead. And as I said, Japan, they've done it again. They did this to Germany, where they scored 2 quick goals to take the lead and has caught the Germans on a sucker punch. This time they're doing it to the Spanish, as Spain was really kind of just got shell shocked with the way that their lead evaporated in the span of just 3 minutes. And so was the Japanese fans too. They were in full voice again, making a lot of noise throughout this game. But Spain eventually did kind of calm down and regain control of this game. But you just kind of had a sense that now they kind of feel like, well, what should we do? Should we maybe go for it, knowing the fact that in the other resort, you know, if Costa Rica was able to get the win, then they could find themselves looking at the outside in. But then they kind of decided that they're just going to kind of knock the ball around. And this is where I thought it kind of really favored Japan, because Japan really didn't have too much defending into it. The announcer then said that Spain could go out, even though the live standing said Spain has the goal difference tiebreaker over Germany. This is not the first time I've seen this happen, where these Fox announcers, I don't know if they have learned or they know how the World Cup tiebreaker works, because when I saw how Spain has that tiebreaker over Germany in terms of goal difference, and I hear they said that, well, Spain could go out, that they need to go. I just thought, wait a minute, isn't one of the tiebreaker on goal difference, and Spain has this massive goal difference in their favor because they put up a 7 spot against Costa Rica in the first game? Wouldn't that be consideration? And thankfully, eventually they said that, yeah, it was our mistake. We didn't realize that is the case. But oh man, I just feel like this is just a bad job for Fox, and that they need to at least train their announcer to know what the tiebreaker rule is. And it's not hard to understand too, because we all know that the first tiebreaker in this one is goal difference. So yeah, it was kind of weird, the fact that they said that Spain is going to be out, even though with the current result and how this game was going to be with Germany retake the lead, Spain would have still moved on because of the goal difference. Though that being said, in the 89th minute, Gonda would deny Asensio, but he did allow a big rebound, which fortunate for the Japanese, no Spanish player were ready to trying to pounce on that one. And with Germany having two goal lead, all of a sudden Japan, they realize that they can't concede, because if they can concede and they got and Spain gets the equalizer in this one, then Germany would move on because they have the tiebreaker over Japan on goal difference. So you can definitely say that there was a lot of Japanese fans. I mean, they were already nervous because they were worried that they might lose this lead, but they got even more nervous now, the fact that what it's at stake. But in the 7-minute stoppage time, Olmo had a wild effort that puts it way wide from long range, and in the end, Japan survived. They won 2-1 in this one against Spain, albeit in a very controversial manner. And the shots in this one, 12 shots compared to 6 that Japan has, 3 shots on goal compared to 5 that Spain has. Both teams had 2 shots that was off target, 5 shots that was blocked compared to 1 that Japan has. And possession-wise, 82% possession compared to just 18% possession that Japan has. That is actually the lowest percent of possession that any World Cup team or any team to have to and still register a win in the World Cup. So Japan definitely made some history in terms of that. But overall, man, what a historic night for Japan. Not only with this win, but also topping the group 2. And if you would have told me that was kind of the case coming into the tournament, that Japan would top the group of death, or at least so-called of that in Group E, you would think that I would be drunk or whatsoever. But here we are. Japan are top of the group, and it just kind of explains the nature of this tournament, where chaos is the name in this tournament. There's just some craziness and unexpected result that you never expect, and here we are. That's exactly what happened in this resort. But that being said, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you do, make sure you guys leave a like, smash the subscribe button. Like I said, tomorrow we have one last day of group stage action, and I have a feeling it's going to be just as crazy as what we've seen so far. And I'm really hoping that, with there's rumors talk about how they're going to change the format, because there's going to be 48 teams in the 2026 World Cup. My only hope is that they don't change it in a way where we won't see these kind of intense moments, because I love these moments. I love these kind of intense moments. I mean, as a supporter of a team, I probably don't like it, but as a neutral, that's what brings the action and brings the entertainment factor into the World Cup. And that, we have seen so much of that, probably even more than what we see in the last edition of the World Cup, that I really hope that does not go away when we have the World Cup in 2026, knowing the fact that FIFA is going to change the format a little bit. But until then, hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you do, make sure you guys leave a like, smash the subscribe button, and yeah, I of course will see you guys next time.